Coach, 14 games into the season, teams at 6-8. Probably not that surprising when you have to replace a player like Sharita Brown. Just talk about the adjustment that you've had to make from a coaching standpoint and that the players have had to make as well.
Well, not only the replacement of Sharita Brown, but really we had 6 very important seniors that graduated whom we were very proud of and glad to see them move on to other things in the next chapter in their life. But, you know, that was 90% of our scoring and our rebounding. And a player like Mackenzie Kudron, who maybe didn't get a lot of minutes on the court, was 100% the voice in the locker room and kept people in check. So we miss all of those seniors for a lot of different reasons: points on the board, rebounding, and leadership. So to answer that 14-game question, I knew it was going to be different, but I didn't realize how different, I guess.
Yeah, how is it? I would think from a coaching standpoint, when you had the 6 players, but when you have the best player in the country, when in doubt, you can always have that safety net. And coaches think that way, players think that way. Well, now there's not that go-to player. Somebody there has to become the go-to player. You've talked about it. Your assistants have talked about it. How do you find that player? And until you find that player, how do you adjust?
You know, it's interesting that you say our players would embrace that, because during the season last year and even down the stretch, there were times when I look at my assistants and say, I don't think they realize how good she is. I don't think they realize how much of the heat she's taking off of them. And so those that are returning, I think, are recognizing it now. But you have to remember, they're still kind of young and still trying to find their own way, and sometimes they're still just maybe worried about their own individual game, and they don't realize the impact that someone like Sharita is having on the team. So this year I thought the look would certainly be different without question, because of that presence in the paint, but I thought our confidence would grow, and right now I feel like our confidence is down. So, you know, we're not bringing back any of those 6 seniors, and I think we have what it takes within the team, but I think you lose a few and they're starting to doubt themselves. So we're going to try to figure out how to get them their confidence back.
Is that something that can be done in practice, or does it have to happen in a game?
You know, you try to emulate that in practice, but every team is a little different, and I think that they need to feel it in the game. I do. I think that the days of kind of beating one another up in practice might be over, and I think that it needs to happen in a game.
You've got 3 seniors on this roster. Let's talk about one of them first, Ashley Wilson, who has contributed quite a bit. And you were able to redshirt her last year. That's how much depth you had. Last year you were able to let her sit out. How has she adjusted after taking that year off and stepping into actually getting serious minutes?
I think for Ashley, it was good for her to sit out last year for a lot of different reasons, just kind of where she was at a year ago in her life. And we did redshirt her because we think she's very talented. And I think she has just an innate ability to put the ball in the basket and make things happen. So for her this season, though, it started slow. And she started to gain some momentum. She's been playing really well for us, starting at Cedarville at the end of the season. And I think she's been able to string several games together. The problem is she needs some help, and that's what we're looking for, is to try to find 4 other people that can help her get the job done.
Let's talk about the other 2 seniors, Brittany Streetman and Kristen Long. They came in together. They're going to go out together. It seems like they're next to each other all the time, whether it's in the backcourt. And they're going to end up being the 2 players who have played the most games at Wayne State women's basketball, providing nobody gets hurt or anything weird, knock on wood. But they really have kind of come along together all along. What do they provide you as seniors?
You know, those 2 have been really special to me. They were the first 2 players that I brought into the program and that were going to be with me for 4 years. And they are the true epitome of a Wayne State warrior. just blue-collar kids that work really, really hard. They don't ask for anything to be handed to them. I think with both of them, though, they've had intermittent times of lack of confidence and even frustration that's carried over into the games. And I think if you take a lack of confidence and frustration and you combine those two and you put them in a running clock game, that's disaster. And so they've not performed well in spurts, but I believe that they're going to snap out of it. It's my job to give them the confidence that they need to go get the job done. And when those two start to play the way that they're capable of consistently, and you add Ashley Wilson in, I think we'll be on the right path. And I do think that we're starting to get there. But unfortunately, we have three people who have kind of all chimed in at different times, and we need those seniors playing together.
Let's go back to talk about Sharita one last time. She's making her pro debut this month over in Sweden. That'll be the second one of your players, second person from Wayne State to play pro over there as a women's player, Paige Sickmiller being the first. It's obviously a big badge of honor for the program. It has to help in recruiting and just in terms of making it more of a high-profile program.
It definitely has been a positive in terms of our recruiting and just talking to high school coaches and AAU coaches about the opportunities that student athletes have here. And I think playing in Europe is a very realistic goal for many female athletes, and it's something that maybe they don't always think is a reality. With Sharita hanging around last semester with us, it's certainly been a pleasure to have her work with our post players during the fall semester, and it was, a double-edged sword to see her leave January 1st. You're sad to see her go, but yet excited for her in the same sense to hear about all of her accomplishments that we know that she's going to have in another country. So, yeah, Sharita has definitely brought a positive light on the program, as Paige Sickmiller has as well.
Before the season started, you played a couple of exhibition games. Now, every year you play Division I schools, Eastern Michigan, U of M, Western. You went to Notre Dame. That's, outside of playing UConn maybe, that's about as good as it gets. Let's talk about that experience and why you wanted to do that.
Well, I wanted to do that because I think in my opinion, Notre Dame is one of the best programs in the country for women's basketball, and to have our players have an opportunity to see, to feel, to experience that limelight is a reward, but it's also a motivator too, to kind of challenge yourself against one of the best in America. And I'm sure that they haven't thought twice about Wayne State since the minute we left the arena. However, we have continued to follow their scores, and we see how they are really beating up on people excessively in 50 and 60 point games, and to think that we were there and didn't get doubled up, so to speak, on the scoreboard. We still kind of talk about that and try to provide our players with some confidence that Brittany Streetman, you went out against one of the best teams in America and had 21 on their home floor. So let's get that confidence and that swag back. And really it was twofold. It was a learning experience, but it was, why not challenge yourself with one of the best? And by no means I don't think we lost confidence during that. I think if anything, we saw some indicators that we could do some things.
Last question. Aside from confidence and swag, what does this team need to get where you need them to be at the end of the season?
The word that I've used in the locker room in the last 2 weeks is determination. And I believe that we have what it takes to really get on a win streak. I believe that we have what it takes to be competitive in this league. And outside of the confidence or swag, I think in those moments where we have a lull in the game, we have to have that determination to fight through that. And we haven't been as resilient as I would have liked us to be. But in the same sense, we could very easily be sitting at 4-4 in the league with 3 single-digit losses in the league, and that really changes your psyche. It really does. It changes how they feel about themselves and what we're doing. So they just need to have that determination and that will to win. And once we find that fire in their belly, I think we're going to do some things.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.